I need your power in this very hour. I need your glory, so I won't have to worry. I need your presence. That's why I give you reverence. Oh Lord, I need you. I need your deliverance for spiritual clearance. I need your healing to free me from this feeling. I need your grace. I'll forever give you praise. Oh Lord, I need you. Like the flower needs the rain, like a portrait needs a frame, like an old man needs a king. I need you. Like a bird needs to sing, like a bell needs the rain, like a crown needs a king. I need you. I need your guidance when my voices have been silenced. I need your direction when I lost my connection. I need your protection when I have no weapon, no. Lord, I really need you. Like the flower needs the rain, like a portrait needs a frame, like an old man needs a cane. Lord, I need you. Like a bird needs to sing, like a bell needs to ring, like a crown needs a king. You know I need you. Yes, I do, Jesus. Like a bird needs to sing, like a bell needs to ring, like a crown needs the head of a king. I need you. You know I need you, Lord. Oh Lord, I need you. Oh Lord, I need you. Oh Lord, I need you. I need you. Oh Lord, 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 I need you. I need you. I tell you, I need you. Standing at the crossroads of my life, I need you. Need you to make it right. I can't make it on my own. No. Need you to help me to stay strong. I feel like giving up, but I need you to fill my cup. I need you. 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 I got tears in my eyes that I need you to wipe. I can't make it on my own. Need you to help me to stay strong. I feel like giving up, but I need you to fill my cup. I need you. 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 I got tears in my eyes that I need you to wipe. Oh Lord, trouble in my way, don't know if I can make it. Don't even know make it. I know I need you. I know I need you. Well, grace and favor to you on this amazing Wednesday afternoon. Listen, I believe you are tuned in on the right time, on the right day. God has something very, very significant that he wants to get into your spirit. Listen, I want you to do me a favor, hit that share button, tag, text, tweet as many people as you can. And I want you to do me another favor. I want you to feel at liberty to be engaged in this virtual worship experience. What do I mean? I mean, hit the hearts and hit the like button, hit the hand claps, engage in the comments section. That is so important to me. I like to know that you're watching, that you're there, and I want us to have that connection between us. So again, I want you to be more engaged than you have ever been before. Don't forget, make sure you share this with as many people as you can, and God's going to bless you in a supernatural way. Well, let's get into the lesson for today. Let's hear what God has to say to us. Now, in today's session, I'm going to be talking about the power of resilience. If that didn't break you, nothing else will. And I need you to almost make it an affirmation of yours when you look over the course of your life, the changes of your life, the complications of your life. And I want you to look and make a declaration that if that didn't break me, nothing else will. Have you ever seen someone go through something in their life that should have broken them, but instead they come back stronger than before? Have you ever seen somebody go through something horrific and there was no indicator, no sign that recovery was even a realistic possibility for them, but yet it seems in no time's flat, they're back on their feet, they're reignited, re-engaged back into life, and you wonder to yourself what gives them the ability, the capacity, the mental fortitude to keep moving, keep pushing through, no matter what life seems to throw at them. It is, without question, resilience. When we talk about resilience, resilience is a process of adapting well in the face of adversity, in the face of trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress.
Resilience means that I have learned the art, I like to call it. I have literally learned the art of being able to adapt to life's misfortunes and setbacks. That when you are resilient, it means that you have this uncanny ability to recover from difficult life experiences. The truth of the matter is, when people look at you now, it's very hard to tell from your exterior the extent and the full scope of the trauma you've experienced, the dysfunction you've experienced, that you've witnessed. Because the reality of it is, at any given moment, you and I are stronger on the inside than we'll ever look to most people on the outside. And that is because we have learned to persevere through trying moments of our lives, and we are resilient. But ladies and gentlemen, it is through disruption and adversity that our resilience is actually tested. Because the truth of the matter is, resilience, just like faith, you don't know how much faith you have until it takes all the faith you have to get you through certain moments, certain challenges, certain crises in your life. As it is with your faith, it is that way with resilience. You don't know how resilient you are until your resilience has to be tested. Resilience is about getting up and using everything that you have in you most of the time to bring out your strongest self in order for you to be able to cope with ever-changing circumstances, to cope with people abandoning you, to cope with feeling alone. But your resilience allows you to, at any given moment, whenever life demands it of you, to bring your strongest, your best self to the forefront in order to be able to handle and to deal with the challenges that life presents you. It's your ability to withstand adversity, troubles, unforeseen events in your life, and you have this innate, uncanny ability to bounce back. Have you ever gone through something in your life and people said to you, I didn't expect to see you for a little while? After going through something like that, I thought you'd be down for a minute, that, you know, maybe you needed some time to regroup and recover. But the reality of it is that when you have this sense of resilience on the inside of you, you tend to bounce back in a manner that leaves people with their mouths open, wondering, how in the world did he ever survive that? How in the world did she ever get over that? But resilience is this mental reservoir of strength that helps people handle hardship without you necessarily being able to see the kind of impact that a moment or an experience had on their lives. In other words, I don't look like what I've been through, because there is this stance that you have to have that says, even when I'm feeling bad, I don't look bad. Do you know people like that? You know, they're going through something and you think they should be walking around with a house coat on and rollers in their hair and slippers on, sliding around. But they understand that the connection is that because things are bad, I'm not going to look like what I'm going through. And that's somebody who's watching me right now. You are baffling countless numbers of people because they know how short you are on the money. They know the kind of tension that you're experiencing in the workplace. They know the kind of relational turmoil that's going on in you, but yet you don't look like what you're going through. Is because resilient people do not let the adversity or the adverse trials in their lives define them. Resilience says, I'm always going to defy them. Let me let that sink in for a moment. Because when you are a resilient individual, it does not mean that I have to deny what's happening is happening. I don't have to deny that, yes, it's hurting. Yes, it's confusing. Yes, I feel abandoned or betrayed, but I'm not going to let that define me, because innately programmed in the resilient individual is that we are going to defy this moment. Resilience says, I'm going to keep moving by any means necessary. I'm going to not waver from my objective or my focus. As a matter of fact, resilient people already anticipate the opposition because nobody dreams as big as you dreaming. Nobody who's daring to do anything on the scale that you're doing it is not going to do it without opposition. And so the reality of the matter is resilient people are not really caught off guard by the attack. We expect them to come, but it's how you view it, how you perceive your life that causes you to keep going, causes you as an individual to transcend the pain and the grief by recognizing that whatever I'm in now, hear me, is only a temporary state. Now, I'm going to let that sink into somebody now. The reason I'm able to push beyond the doubters, the reason I'm able to rise above the pain, the grief, the letdown, the disappointment, is because I have already defined bad moments as temporary states. This is not going to be my permanent state. Things are eventually going to change for the better and work in my favor. Now, when you have resilience, you learn how to harness and tap into this inner strength that helps you to rebound from every setback, every challenge. It might have been a job loss. It might have been the demise of a relationship. Whatever catastrophic moment that you have experienced in your life, there is this strength in you that helps pull you from whatever stupor, whatever rut that life thought it was going to leave you in, and you emerge victorious from it because you already understand that there is no setback, no challenge, no difficulty that is going to last forever, and that I do not have the ability, the capacity to overcome. Now, resilience is the ability to adapt to difficult situations, when stress and adversity and trauma strikes you and me as individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, we often feel anger or grief and pain, but you're able to function through it as if it has no effect. Now, it's not that it doesn't have an effect, but it doesn't have a crippling effect that grounds me, that makes me immobile, that makes me disinterested in my life or the furtherance of my life. I understand that when you are resilient, no matter what's coming at you, you have this ability to remain calm, or more calm than anybody anticipated you would, hearing that kind of news, losing that kind of money, somebody walking away from you, but yet there is a degree of composure and calmness about you that helps ground you mentally, where you're able to navigate calmly through moments of chaos and through moments of crisis in your life. Because when you are resilient, you're always looking at the problem and envisioning a successful outcome. That's what people don't understand, because when you're a resilient individual, your first instinct is never to collapse, to panic, to become overly paranoid about the circumstance, because it's already programmed in your mind. This bad moment is only momentary. I won't deal with this the rest of my life. I may have to deal with this for a few days, a couple of weeks, even a few months. But at the end of it, my mentality is certain that this is only a temporary circumstance. And me knowing that, now I look at the problem and I look at it rationally to envision a successful outcome. Trouble is not going to last always. There is a way out of this. There is a solution. And I want to say this to you. There is a strategy. There is a solution that you're going to tap into that's going to bring you back to a place of fulfillment, of wholeness, of peace. But when you are resilient, it means that no matter how chaotic things are, it means I have to restrain some emotion. I have to remain calm and choose to respond each and every time, hear me, productively and optimistically. One of the worst things you can do is to allow life to make you unproductive. Because generally what happens, you lose a job, a relationship, some money, you lose a person. The first instinct that we have is to just shut down. We're not taking any calls. I stopped writing, I stopped working, I stopped doing things that are productive in my life. And when you are a resilient individual, you understand the cost of being unproductive at any given moment of your life. And sometimes people don't understand that sometimes we process loss or even grief or even abandonment by working through it. Again, it's not that I'm in denial of what's happened. It's not that I'm trying to busy myself so I don't have to deal with a certain moment or an emotion. It's just that I made up my mind. I'm not giving that temporary emotion the power to make me unproductive and to pull myself out of being engaged with life. Because again, being resilient doesn't mean that you don't experience stress, you don't experience emotional upheavals. It doesn't mean that you don't suffer. It doesn't mean that sometimes you don't feel like crying or even allow yourself to cry. Because some people equate resilience with mental toughness, but demonstrating real resilience includes working through emotional pain and suffering. In other words, please don't look at me and say he's still doing it, he's pushing, he's functioning. Look at him doing what he does. It doesn't mean that I'm not suffering. It doesn't mean I'm not hurt. Doesn't mean that while I'm doing what I do, that I'm not bothered or disturbed. But what it does mean is that I'm working through the pain or the suffering in order to not fold under the kind of pressure that probably would have crushed somebody weaker than you. Let me say this to you. Somebody weaker than you would have collapsed by now if they were dealing with your weight, juggling your obligations, juggling the things that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Because we understand how to restrain our emotions. We don't let ourselves instantly down spiral into some depressive stupor that could be difficult to dig ourselves out of. But we employ this degree of composure and calmness because our mind says, again, no matter how bad this is going to be temporary. No matter that this is a setback, it's only going to set me back a couple of weeks. I'll get up and I'll get at it again, because my resiliency, my mindset says that nothing I go through, nothing I'm currently in or will ever go through is going to last the duration of my life. Let me tell you, you're going to smile again. And if you are smiling now, you're going to smile bigger, because life is going to get better, but you cannot allow yourself to lose that sense of resiliency. Because when you lose or you lack the resilience, when you lack resilience in your life, it's very typical that you will begin to simply focus on your problems. You'll become so immersed and consumed by what's wrong, what's not going right, how much I don't have, what I need, when I need it by. When you lose your resilience, you'll dwell on the problems, you'll begin to feel victimized, and you'll become overwhelmed. And tragically, most people find unhealthy coping mechanisms, whatever that is, whatever their vice is. They'll drink, they'll club, they'll smoke, whatever it is, to try to cope with life, cope with the pain, cope with the betrayal. Whatever it is that it seems awfully overwhelming for you to mentally process and handle. If you lack resilience, then you could be very prone to give into it. But I want to tell you today, you got to always remind yourself that I'm stronger on the inside than I look on the outside. Now, you must understand that one of the ways to cultivate this attitude and outlook of resiliency is to develop a survivor's mentality. Let me give you that again. One of the ways to cultivate the kind of attitude that is necessary to survive life and the challenges and unforeseen circumstances that it will abruptly throw at you periodically from time to time. And you have to develop an outlook of a survivor's mentality. And so when dealing with any potential crisis, it is essential to always view yourself as a survivor. When you are resilient, let me caution you, never allow your mind to entertain the prospect of you being a victim. Never let yourself hear yourself say things like, well, I'm just a victim of circumstance. But instead, again, you have to take dominion over how you are reacting to what you didn't expect to experience. And you have to say, you have to look for ways to resolve this problem, this matter. Don't let circumstances take you so out of sorts that, again, you become detached, you become disinterested, and you just sit there in a stupor, waiting for things to get better. But things rarely get better without your involvement. Now, I need to say that again because somebody's watching me and they're under the erroneous assumption that I'm going to just sit in my pitiful state until this blows over. Let me tell you, things rarely get incredibly or increasingly better without your participation. Your future requires that you're in it. Your future requires that you are present in your present in order to get to the future. I hope you get that. You cannot just sit idle. Even though you feel numb, there's something in you. There's a drive that says, I don't feel like getting up, but I got to get up because the rest of my life is dependent on it. And again, there is this mindset that says that I am a survivor, I am never a victim. While situations may be unavoidable, you got to stay focused on a positive outcome. I couldn't do nothing about this happening. It caught me off guard to some degree, but we're here now, right? You have to be present in the moment. You have to deal with the reality of circumstances in order to figure out properly how to handle the situation. We're here now, right? I don't have time to waste talking about whose fault it was, what didn't happen, and what they did. That's irrelevant at this moment. I have to be focused and present enough in the moment and resilient enough to find the solution, find the exit, so that I can move on with the next phase of my life. Now, the reality is that resilient people tend to maintain a more positive outlook and cope with stress more effectively. Again, it's not that we camouflage it, because you could see me now and be under the impression that, oh, he doesn't have any stress, he doesn't have any complications, there's nothing. But the reality of it is I've just made up my mind. Again, I've got a survivor mentality. I refuse to ever let myself hear myself say that I'm a victim of any circumstance. But while I'm in the midst of a crisis that I didn't expect or plan for, I am calm enough to effectively figure out a way to bring myself out of this, right? And so when you're resilient, you don't handle stress the way everybody else handles stress. Most people, when things happen that they don't anticipate, they immediately start spiraling into a place of, this is the end of the world. This is the worst thing that's ever happened. There's no way I'm going to survive this. Well, all you got to do is look over your life and count how many times you said that before. You remember 3 years ago, you thought that was it. You thought that was going to take you out. But look at you now, doing better, making more moves, covering more ground. The reality of the matter is that when you are resilient, it means I am committing to myself to maintain a positive and a healthy outlook and cope with stress more effectively. When obstacles come up, people who have optimism will first think, how can I overcome this, rather than why did this happen to me? That's what I'm trying to impress into your mind. When things come up abruptly, stop saying, why did this happen to me? You have to rather have a different perspective and begin to say, how can I overcome this? Because again, I'm not going to be a victim. I don't care. It wasn't on my agenda, but I refuse to let it get the best of me. That's what you have to say to yourself. While you're walking around your house, while you're going about your day, while you're in the car, you got to begin to learn how to speak to yourself. People say you're crazy if you talk to yourself. I tell people you're crazy if you do not talk to yourself. You got to walk around every day saying things like, this will not get the best of me. I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to be stressed out over you, a person or a condition or a situation. I'm not going to be stressed out over this, because I understand that the more stressed I am, the less lucid I am, the less sober I am in the moment to be able to properly put things into perspective so that I could walk myself out of this and move on with the next portion of my life. Hear me, enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. I know a lot of people who have great degrees of enthusiasm at the start, but endurance is rare. Everybody's pumped and psyched at the beginning, but resilience requires that you endure some stuff. Requires that you go through some things and take a licking, but you keep right on ticking, because enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare, right? Because in everybody's life, there are going to be ever increasing demands on your time, your effort, your energy, your resources. And it can easily cause you to sink into a place of acceptance for being in environments where you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, where you're constantly feeling like you're unable to handle the high expectations of your career, of your spouse, of your children. And they're going to be challenges, again, that are going to seem way above your ability to handle them. But you have to steady your mind and steady yourself to know that I will not succumb to this pressure. At the end of this, I'm going to be the victor. Again, that's how you have to talk to your circumstances. You got to say, at the end of you, I'm going to be in a better tax bracket because I allowed myself to remain in a place of resilience. Because resilience is the ability to adapt to difficult situations. When trauma strikes, when bad news hits, you got to keep functioning. That's what I want to impress into your mind. Stop letting life cause you to stop functioning so much, right? And I'm not being insensitive. I'm not minimizing, because there are some pains that will hit harder than others, right? There are some blows that will take you just a little longer to get up from and recover than previous ones. But what I am saying, you got to function in spite of circumstances that were intended to make you dysfunctional. I hope you get what I'm saying to you. You have to decide. I mean, it's like a predetermined thing for me. No matter how hard I get knocked down, I still get back up again. While I'm laying down, I'm already knowing I'm getting back up. There's never a time in my life where I've been knocked down and on the ground saying, oh, I'm not going to recover from this. No, I'll never be able to bounce back from this. Every time I've ever gotten knocked down, I knew it was only a temporary state. And that when I arose and when I emerged, I was going to be in a much better place than I was before. Why do some people bounce back from adversity and misfortune? Why does it seem like some people take such hits, they get pummeled, but they get up and just brush themselves on and go on about the next part of their life, the next phase of their life? Why do some people roll with the punches, and why do some people never recover from the punches? Because resilient people they have this signature psychology. They have this signature spirit. Their faith is is such at a level that they have the ability to experience both negative and positive emotions, even in a painful and difficult situation. Now, I'm going to sit there for a moment, because you've been feeling a little crazy, because in a situation that you were in, people expected you to cry and to fall out. And they even said things like, nobody's going to blame you. Have a pity party. Take a few weeks. But they don't understand. It's baffling to them how you can be in a negative situation and still feel negative and positive emotions. I'm hurt on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm going to survive this. I'm crying on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm anticipating a better tomorrow. Because I'm trying to tell you that there have been moments in my life where it looked really, really bad. And people were already pronouncing the benediction, say, oh, he's not going to be able to recover from this. You know, maybe this is it for him. But they don't understand that sometimes I look at my circumstances and say, you hurt me, but you helped me. Because resilient individuals, people who operate in a high level of faith, says that they're able to get the positive and negative even out of a bad situation. I don't just feel bad about it while I'm in a bad situation. I feel bad, but I have a good feeling about it. It hurt me, but it helped me at the same time. You can mourn loss and endure frustration, but you also find yourself developing a certain level, a greater level of resiliency, even while you're in a place where you should never have recovered from. There's some moments now you can look back over your life and you heard yourself say, I don't even know. I'm throwing in the towel. I don't know how this is going to work out. It's so bad. There's no way I can recover. And then you look back in retrospection, and then you begin to see how things were working for your good, even in the bad. Because I want to tell you that God is not just God when it's good. He's God when it's bad. And sometimes it's not until you get in the bad that you really can see how great and how gracious God is in every matter of your life. Now, the reality of the matter is, and I want to reiterate it to you, that resiliency is not the same thing as denial, right? It's not that I'm trying to do something else so I forget this is going on or so that I don't have to deal with it. It's not denial, it's defiance. Resilient individuals are very defiant. I'm a very defiant individual. There's not a trial I've seen in my life that I wasn't defiant to. Because if you're not defiant, it means you are conforming, right? It means you are accepting the terms of your circumstance. It means you are accepting the terms of that situation. But you have to be in a place in your life and say, I'm not in denial, but I am defiant. I'm daring this situation to think that it can knock me so low that I'll never recover, right? That's just my attitude. Remember, we talked about the survivor's mentality. The more things you survive, the more stronger that mentality becomes, right? And so when you look at those of us who have the mentality and say, I can lose everything today, and I'll be back up and running in no time. I'm not even sweating it. There's nothing in my head that's going to let me entertain that I'm down for the last count. Never. Again, I told you, there's never been a fight, a battle, an issue I've ever had in my life where I concluded this was going to get the best of me. No, what I did conclude is that this is going to bring the best out of me, is going to demand the strongest version of me that life has ever gotten. And if when I come through this, I'm going to be even stronger and even better equipped to handle the next circumstance, because my resilience is going to the next level. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. Now, I want you to get that in your head. Some things will happen in life, it'll change you a little, right? It'll change your approach, it changes your perspective, but I'm not going to be reduced by it. Because resilience is distinct from simply surviving. And it's more than endurance. Resilience is often endurance with direction. Now, that's powerful. Because if you're going to build a strong mindset and develop mental toughness, then you're going to have to settle some very definite things within your heart, your soul, your spirit, and your behavior, right? Because when you're resilient, you don't change how you respond based on circumstance. Every circumstance, I win. That's my mind. That's how I go into it. That's how I'm coming out of it. I win. It may look awfully challenging. It may seem awfully overwhelming right now, but I am going to win. And since obstacles and setbacks and perhaps failures are inevitable in your life, then you have to understand the necessity of being resilient and saying, if that didn't break me, nothing else will. Do you understand? People died from what you dealt with. But look at you, you're still here. People got so stressed out. They stressed themselves into stress-induced heart attacks. But look at you, you are still here. You're still vibrant. You're still functioning. That's the key. You're still functioning. But sometimes you will get to low places in your life where you'll feel like your resiliency is being zapped, that you're being drained, that no matter how strong you want to be in your mind, it's just your mind is not cooperating. Your body won't cooperate. Doesn't seem like your spirit is in agreement and alignment. And sometimes you will get in these low places, but instead of giving up, ask yourself at some point, you know what? Are my negative thoughts distorting my view? And at that point, you have to deal directly with your mind. You have to cast down those thoughts. You have to change the obsession or whatever your mind is obsessing over. You have to change that objective of what you are looking at, that center of objection of what you're looking at. And whenever you feel like giving up, you have to ask yourself, are my negative thoughts destroying and distorting my viewpoint, right? You got to ask yourself, maybe entertain the idea that maybe I'm being too hard on myself, right? Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit for what I am accomplishing, what I am doing, because I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not yet acknowledged and celebrated and giving myself the credit for, look at where I am now. Do you know what? Every now and then you got to look back and look over your life and see what it took you to get to where you are. While other people may take it for granted, you, ma'am, you, sir, can never afford to take where you are for granted another day in your life. You had to come through some things that you haven't even told anybody else about. If they knew how many days you didn't eat, if they knew how many months you had gotten behind on that car, if they knew that you barely had money to function at some juncture in your life, if they knew what it took for you to be where you are now, you would never discount where you are another day in your life. You are resilient. You have endured more than you disclose to most people, more than you share to anybody around you. And when you get to these places where you feel like you're getting ready to crumble and snap, just keep saying to yourself, if that didn't break me, nothing else is going to break. There is something that's been built up in you. There's a fortitude. There is this stick-to-itiveness that arises in the heart and the mind and spirit of every individual who've gone through something in their life and just flat out refuse to die. That's my stance. I have this kind of stubborn, I'll let you in on a secret about me. I have this kind of stubbornness to me. It's a stubborn defiance. No matter what life shows me, I say, I ain't gonna die. So if that's your agenda, you've wasted drawing up, go back to the drawing board, because I refuse to die. I refuse to let you bankrupt me. I refuse to allow this to derail my destiny and to destroy me. But when you feel low in your life, where it feels like you don't have enough grip to hold on, you have to ask yourself, what's the positive side of this setback, this failure? Learning from this, about this now. What about this moment, circumstance I've been dealing with for the last weeks or so? What about this is going to better prepare me for the future that's just ahead of me? Stop getting so easily discouraged and disgruntled because you're dealing with something you didn't expect that you'd have to deal with at all. But the reality of it is, life is life. And you're going to get up and you're going to face some things that you never thought you'd ever have to face. But you got to make up your mind before you quit prematurely. What's the positive side of this? Stop allowing your mind to drift to the negative of every moment and allow yourself to veer over to a place of hopelessness and despair. You have to train your mind to have a mental, a bigger outlook. And you have to train your mind that I'm not going to be so focused on the negative sides of life that I don't become consumed with the positive sides of life, because it will make you feel like giving up, and you'll feel your resilience dwindling and your grip is lessening. But you got to ask yourself, is this goal still important to me? Is my ambition still important to me? Right? Because you can't go any further unless you ask yourself or answer that for yourself. If it's not important to you, then letting go is not going to be that big of a challenge for you. And you'll have no regret over it. But if it's still important to you, then you better hold on tighter now in this season than you've ever done before. You can't let the enemy rob you of this moment, rob you of your destiny. You have to ask yourself, is this important to me? Is it still important to me? Right? And if the answer is yes, then you have to bear down and hold on. For he that endureth to the end. The race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but is given to he that endures. The one who made up their mind, they're so resilient that I will not resign. I hope you're getting this. You have to decide that me resigning from life, my dream, my goal, my ambition is absolutely off the table, because my resilient nature and spirit will not let me forfeit a future that I am entitled to, because I've got to remain optimistic. Yes, I'm talking to you. You got to remain optimistic. It's something that you have to train your mind to do. I've got to remain and stay optimistic even during dark periods in your life. And I know it can be difficult, but maintaining a hopeful and a healthy outlook is an important part of resiliency. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are dealing with may be difficult, but it's impossible to remain hopeful and positive about a bright future if you don't believe this is a transitionary period for you. This is just a moment for you. Some things you're dealing with now, when this is over, you'll never have to deal with it another day in your life. But you have to keep your mindset positive. You have to keep the vantage point through which you are looking at life, from which you are looking at life, absolutely filled with expectation that no matter what it's looking like now, it is not going to end like this. Let me say that to you again. No matter what it's looking like now, it is not going to end like this. Doesn't matter the adversity, the trauma, the tragedy, the threats that you are under. It doesn't matter the sources of the stress that has been pushing you to the brink of confusion. I want you to understand that if that didn't break you, nothing else will. You just have to make up your mind that I'm going to make it. I'm going to succeed. I am going to win. Not just win, but I'm going to win by incredible margins. Let me tell you, you stay resilient, because if that didn't break you, nothing else will. Sometimes you don't know how strong you are until strong is what you have to be. And I want to say to you this day that you are going to survive it. Survive it, have the survivor mentality, have an optimistic vantage point, keep a positive meditation on your mouth, positive affirmation that says, this will not get the best of me. That's my favorite. I'll probably say that 50, 60 times every single day. This will not get the best of me. You'll also hear me say things like, I'm bigger than you. You can't conquer me. I have the power over you. I have the authority over that. You have to learn how to talk to yourself when you're going through the most challenging times of your life. And I want to tell you, I want to leave you with these parting words. If that didn't break you, nothing else will. Well, my brother and my sister, after hearing the word of God, maybe there's someone out there, in fact, I know you're out there, whose heart has been touched by God through the word, and you're wondering, what must I do to be saved? Well, my brother, my sister, I've got great news for you. Today is your day of salvation. Salvation is even nigh you, says the word of God. What do I need to do to be saved? All you have to do is confess with your mouth Jesus Christ as Lord and believe in your heart that his Father, God, raised him from the dead, and he is now seated on the right hand of God, making intercession for you and I. At this very moment, God is making intercession for you. And if you're watching and you said, that is me, I want you to put right there in the comment, it's me. And I'm going to pray very specifically for you. If you're receiving Christ this day, if maybe you're watching and you're a backslider, and you have been challenged, convinced, and convicted by the word of God, that today is a great day for a turnaround. Today is a great day for a fresh start. And if that's you and you've received Jesus Christ in your heart and you're a backslider, but today you're coming back, restoring your relationship with Christ, just put in the comments, it's me. Or maybe you're watching this day and you say, Pastor, I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, but what I need is a church home. I need a man of God. I need a place to serve. I need a place to be submitted and committed to. If the Spirit of God is leading you to this place, it doesn't matter what city you're in or state or zip code or area code you reside in. The only thing that matters is that you receive Jesus Christ and you are receiving this as your church home, as your church family. There's an email address right here at the bottom of the screen. I want you to take full advantage of it. I've got staff on standby right now. They're not only praying for you and with you, but they are waiting to help further facilitate your next steps. Now that you have received Jesus Christ, I want you to know the Bible says that the angels in heaven rejoice over one soul. Not only is heaven rejoicing this day, I want you to know we are rejoicing with you, my brother and my sister. And let me say to you officially, welcome to the family. Well, beloved, this is our global giving experience, and boy, am I excited about it. When you're a child of God and you walk by faith, you not only get excited about receiving, but you get very excited about any opportunity God presents to you to be a giver and to sow. I tell people all the time, I don't make a living by what I get. I make a living by what I give. I create the life I want by being a giver. For it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. And as we're preparing today globally to honor the Lord in our giving with our substance, I want to challenge every one of you that are watching me today. I want you to prepare what we call here at our ministry our corporate seed offering. That's a $42 seed. And I want you to plant it in the ground by faith. It's a seed that expedites return. It's a seed of double. It's a seed of replenishment of all those things you lost, according to the 42nd chapter of Job. So I want all of you to covenant with me today. I want you to partner with me while you're watching this, or those who are watching the replay, or whenever you would watch this. I want you to release by faith a $42 seed offering today and watch how God miraculously blesses you. Well, Bishop, if I don't have that $42, does that exclude me from the giving process? Absolutely not. Get that out of your head. It's for those that would hear, that can respond and obey that. But if you say, Pastor, I don't have that seed, but I have a seed that I want to put in the ground, I want to challenge you to get the very best seed that you have on this day. And I want you to present it unto the Lord, and you're going to see the blessings of heaven overwhelm you like never before. The giving means are right here at the bottom of the screen. Find one that's most convenient for you, and I want you to choose that one, and I want you to give it by faith. I want you to thank God in advance for the harvest that's coming your way. If you choose not to give electronically, there's a mailing address right at the bottom of your screen as well. Get a stamp, a money order, cashier's check. Put it in there. We're going to pray over it, receive it, and pronounce heaven's blessed over your life. You can't be God giving no matter how hard you try. Keep on giving. Heaven's ready to give unto you. Well, my brother, my sister, I hope that you have enjoyed the Lord on this day. I hope you have enjoyed receiving the word as much as I have enjoyed teaching and releasing this word to you. Let me say a thank you to all of you who spend your Wednesday afternoon with me. Thank you. Those of you who take part of your lunch break, those of you who take some of your break, and those of you who even pull over the car and watch this midday Bible study. I want you to know I am incredibly grateful for your support and your commitment to this ministry. Now, I need you to do me a favor. There are a lot of people, perhaps your friends, family, who did not have the opportunity to watch this today. Well, guess what? I want you to tell them to tune in tonight for 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's right. I want you to be an evangelist for me. I want you to call as many people as you know. If this has been a blessing to you, I want you to reach out to as many people that you want it to be a blessing to. And I want you to tell them to tune in right here tonight, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. God's going to do something amazing. Don't forget, if you have not, please make sure you are connecting with us on all of our social media platforms. Don't forget and make sure you go to all of my social media platforms at Henry Bolden, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I want you to subscribe and I want you to like. Thank you so much for all of your comments on this day. Please know that I'm going to get to look at each and every one of them, and I'm going to respond to them. Those of you who have questions or any prayer requests, all of those things, I want you to send it to me. I want you to know that you and I are bonded together. We are connected. I love my cyber church family, and I pray for you on a daily basis. Well, I'm out of time for now, but as always, in part, and always remember that things can change for you at any moment. I'll see you next week.